Derby County host league leaders Burnley at Pride Park Stadium on Tuesday night as they look to pull off a shocking result as they try to get themselves out of relegation trouble. Now obviously Derby County tasted defeat for the first time in 4 games on Saturday afternoon as they fell to a 1-0 defeat to Swansea City. Burnley came away 2-1 victors away from home as they faced up against Frank Lampard's Coventry City. But which team is going to be the favourite heading into this one? Now, obviously, for Derby County, there's lots to talk about ahead of the game versus Burnley when we talk about the likes of injuries, their recent form. And obviously with Burnley, they have their own problems of their own. Now, obviously, it's going to be a massive, massive game for John Eustace as he looks to pull Derby County just that little bit further away from the relegation zone and hope that those teams around him do not pick up good results. Now, Derby County will see the return of Jerry Yates, but will that be enough to secure a shocking victory versus Burnley? Derby County find themselves suffering with a range of different injuries as they head into this game versus Burnley on Tuesday night. It's a 7:45 kickoff live on Sky Sports Plus. They're going to be without the likes of Ben Osborne, Corey Blackett-Taylor, Curtis Nelson, Dejon Brown, David Ozo, Kmar Roof, Lars Jorgen Selverson and Ryan Nyambi. They're also going to potentially be missing out on the likes of Caden Jackson and Callum Elder. Caden Jackson came off late in the game versus Swansea City with a little bit of a hamstring injury. Now, whether he's going to be fit and available again this season is anybody's guess right now, but it certainly isn't looking very positive. Callum Elder picked up a massive knock in that game versus Swansea City after about 5 minutes, and I did personally believe he was going to be taken off the field at that moment in time, but he wasn't. He continued to play on versus, it wasn't Swansea City, it was Preston North End where Derby County came away as victors and was obviously then unavailable versus Swansea City. Is he going to be back available for this one? I think it's really important that Derby County have Callum Elder available, so who knows what's going to happen with that one. Let me know your thoughts on Derby's injury problems down in the comments. We then head on over to Burnley's side of injuries. They're going to be missing the likes of Bashir Humphreys, John Joe Shelvey, Jordan Bayer, Mike Trezor and Enoch Adji, as well as potentially others. But for Burnley, it's one of those where they have a tremendous squad and they've got some really, really good players who have been able to put in some excellent performances across the course of this season, and that is why they find themselves at the top end of the division. Now, obviously, don't get me wrong, missing out on the likes of Bashir Humphreys and Mike Trezor and players like that is obviously going to have an impact on Burnley and what they can do, but it's one of them for me where they have probably one of the best squads in the division, so I don't think those 4 or 5 injuries that they currently have at the moment is going to be a massive, massive problem for Burnley, as obviously we've seen in recent weeks they've been in some excellent form. Now, obviously, heading into this one, Derby County will see the return of Jerry Yates as he is now available after being ineligible versus Swansea. But who will return for Burnley? Let me know if you're a Burnley fan down in the comments. There's a massive, massive opportunity here for Burnley to go further clear at the top of the division, but there's also an opportunity for Derby County to get themselves out of that sort of relegation trouble with a good result and others picking up poor ones. We spoke about injuries, but let's now get on to the league table. Burnley currently find themselves leading the way after 40 games with 84 points from 40 games, 23 wins, 15 draws and 2 defeats, 55 goals scored, 12 goals conceded. That's a plus 43 on goal difference. It's massive, massive performances from Burnley this season, which is one of the reasons why I can't see Derby County getting anything more than a point out of this game. Now, Derby County have already taken a point away from Burnley this season. Can they take another one on their home turf? It's going to be very, very difficult. Burnley need to pick up at least a point if they want to stay within the automatic promotion places, as Leeds United will have to pick up a victory at minimum in that situation to be able to go into second place. Now, obviously, as we look a little bit further down the table, we find Derby County in 21st place in the division. It's 40 games played for them, 11 wins, 8 draws and 21 defeats, 42 goals scored, 52 goals conceded, minus 10 on the goal difference, 41 points from a possible God knows how many possible points there is. I don't even know why I said that when I don't have it prepared. Now, if we look at the home form table, Derby County find themselves in 16th place. 9 wins, 3 draws, 8 defeats, 25 goals scored, 17 goals conceded, 30 points from a possible 20 games. And in my opinion, that's a really, really good situation for Derby. And obviously heading into this one, they will take massive, massive confidence. Now, it's a good job we're not facing Burnley at Turf Moor. They're yet to be defeated at home. 42 points in 20 games, 11 wins and 9 draws, 28 goals scored, 5 conceded. Burnley have been unbelievable this season, and it's something which is going to be really interesting as we get towards the end, as they're obviously chasing down the league title. Now, obviously, we look at the away form, and this is where Derby County don't really get any sort of satisfaction. Burnley are leading the way in the division for their away form. 12 wins, 6 draws and 2 defeats. 27 goals scored, 7 goals conceded. 20 goals, plus 20 on goal difference. 42 points in 20 games. Now, obviously, the only positive that Derby County can take from this is the 2 defeats that Burnley have already taken this season come in that away game. And that's something which Derby County can take. Now, obviously, we will just take a brief look at Derby County's away form. Absolutely terrible. 11 points in 20 games. 2 wins, 5 draws, 13 defeats, 17 goals scored, 35 goals conceded, minus 18 on the goal difference. Now, obviously, away form doesn't really matter for Derby as they are at home. But if we look at the last 5 matches, it's Derby County and Burnley who are the 2 informed sides in the division, leading the way in those automatic promotion places had the season started 5 games ago. It's 4 wins for Derby and 1 defeat, 9 goals scored, 4 conceded, plus 5 on the goal difference, 12 points. Burnley themselves are undefeated in the last 5, 4 wins, 1 draw, 10 goals scored, 2 goals conceded, plus 8 on the goal difference, and 13 points for them. Now for Derby, the disappointing fact of life that they'll see on that form table is that Hull City, Luton Town, Stoke, Oxford are all within the top half, scoring 7 or 8 points across the course of the last few games. Plymouth Argyle, 7 points as well. And they're not really in a position where any of those teams at the bottom are sort of those teams that Derby County need to be overtaking and things like that. And that is where the problem seems to come. Now, obviously, if we look at the XG table across the course of this season, where we talk about XG for goals scored, XGA for goals conceded, and X for points, Burnley are massively overperforming. 7 more goals scored, 19 less goals conceded than expected, and 18 points more than they should currently have, which is obviously massive overperformance for Burnley so far this season. We then obviously go down to Derby County. Underperformance for them, 9 points less than they should have. They've conceded 6 more goals than they should have and scored 2 more than they should have. Now, for me, it's obviously a disappointing situation for Derby County, and as a Derby County fan, we have to take that into consideration. But shall we take a look into the form of both sides? As mentioned when going through the league table, Derby County and Burnley are the 2 form sides across the course of the last 5 games. Derby County picking up 4 victories and 1 defeat. Burnley picking up 4 wins and 1 draw. Now, obviously for Derby County, their most recent defeat came against Swansea City when they were missing the likes of Callum Elder and Jerry Yates, 2 massive parts of this John Eustace team since he has arrived at Derby County. Now, obviously for Burnley, the only game they've dropped points was up against West Bromwich Albion, which was a 1-1 draw. Now, if we take a look at Burnley's most recent game against Coventry City, they conceded early doors through, I think it was Haji Wright for Coventry City, who scored after 5 minutes, but 2 goals from Anthony ended up with a 2-1 victory. They were 50-50 on possession, quite close on expected goals as well, 1.63 to 1.50, 14 shots to 13 in Coventry's favour, 3 big chances to 2 again in Coventry's favour. But we look at the lineup, it's a bit of a 4-4-2 setup according to FootMob, although I probably believe it's probably a little bit more likely to be sort of a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 situation. But it's one of those. It's a massive victory for Burnley as they head into this one. Obviously also beating the likes of Bristol City, Swansea City, and a 4-0 thrashing of Luton Town just a few weeks ago. Now, obviously for Derby County, their most recent defeat was up against Swansea City, a disappointing one. But Derby County have adopted this 3-5-2 formation since obviously that Blackburn Rovers game, and it's worked wonders for them realistically. But the problem that we had on the weekend was Craig Forsyth playing in that left wing back role. He shouldn't be there, in my opinion. Needs to be in that left centre back role and potentially chuck in an Eric Peters, chuck in someone else on that left wing back position, because in my opinion, Fozzie just doesn't quite have the legs anymore to be able to go in, to be going up and down the wing like he used to 5-6 years ago. Now, obviously for Derby, on an impressive run of form before then, 2-0 against Preston North End, 3-2 Plymouth Argyle, 2-0 versus Coventry, and 2-1 against Blackburn Rovers. It's going to be really interesting to see how Derby set up as they face up against Burnley at Pride Park. Obviously, we know that Derby County have sat in and been rugged and tough to beat over the course of John Eustace's time. Obviously, those first 4 games were quite disappointing. But since, I think, the Middlesbrough game, there's been a real turning point, and probably the Millwall one as well. There's sort of been a turning point where we've been difficult to beat and obviously pushing ourselves towards potentially hitting on the counter-attack and things like that. And that's something which we're going to have to try and do really well up against Burnley on Tuesday night. Now, obviously, the form would probably entail that this is going to be an entertaining game, but I think we're going to see anything but that. I think it's probably going to be sort of a lacklustre performance from both sides, one of which where Burnley are going to dominate possession, Derby are going to sit in and defend well, but are they going to be able to hit Burnley on the counter? What are your score predictions? Let me know down in the comments. Now, obviously, as we close out this video, Derby County are obviously in need of a result massively as they sit on 41 points from 40 games, and obviously no one more than Derby need a result. As much as Burnley are challenging for the title and things like that, when you're a team like Derby, a team like Cardiff, Luton, Stoke, Hull, these results are absolutely massive at this stage of the season, and these teams often turn it around at this stage and start beating some of the better teams, as we've seen with Derby County as well over the course of the last few weeks, beating Coventry, beating Blackburn, beating Preston North End. Some massive results for them over the course of recent weeks. And what is going to be really interesting for Derby is if they can go into another home game and pick up another victory, because for me, that's exactly what they need. Now, an important factor for Derby County to consider is that return of Jerry Yates. I do think we're going to stick with that 3-5-2, and I really hope that Callum Elder is back fit and available after having, the best part of a week essentially sat on the sidelines. I do believe John Eustace claimed he was training on Thursday before, obviously, Thursday and Friday before they headed to obviously face up against Swansea City, but just wasn't able to get involved enough to be able to be involved in that game. So it's going to be interesting to see if those two are back. I think it's massive for Derby that we get Callum Elder back, because I think it gives Derby County decent options in those wide areas, and I think Callum Elder has been massively impressive under John Eustace so far across the course of the last few games especially. And it's one of those for me where the more I look at Burnley and the more I look at their season, I think it's going to be harder and harder for Derby County to get a result against Scott Parker's men. They've got some unbelievable talent in their squad, and something that I wish only Derby County could have. You look at a player like Edwards, who I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's on loan from Porto. No, it's Sporting CP. My apologies. But it's one of those where absolutely some unbelievable players, and if they go up, they will have some really good players to sort of push themselves forward in the Premier League. But obviously for Derby County, we're going to be hoping that that doesn't happen. Now, Josh Brownhill leads the way for goals and assists with 17 across the course of this campaign. Zian Fleming is number 2, top goal scorer with 9, Jayden Anthony with 6. Jayden Anthony is the second for goals and assists with 12 himself with 6 assists. Josh Brownhill has 4 assists, Lyle Foster 5 assists. It's going to be a very interesting season, and James Trafford has been tough to beat all season. Are Derby County going to be able to find a way to beat him? That's something which is going to be a massive task for that of John Eustace. Now, the important factor, get balls in the box, get men in the box and cause problems for the Burnley defence. I'm not saying that they're not good players in that Burnley defence, because obviously we've seen this season conceding only 12 goals, that they are unbelievable in the back line. But are Derby County going to be able to breach that back line? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I want to go for a 1-0 win, Derby County. That's what I want to go for, if I'm completely honest. Do I believe it? No. I think Burnley will probably take the victory, but thinking with my heart, I'm going a 1-0 Derby County win. It's going to be a set-piece goal, and we're going to defend really well and hold out for victory over Burnley, for Burnley to take their 3rd defeat of the season. My head tells me that Burnley are going to beat us 2-0, but we ignore my head because who cares what your head thinks? The smart part of your body. We just go with our heart at this time of the season, and let's see what Derby County and John Eustace can do. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell to stay tuned for all of my latest Derby County content heading your way across the course of the end of this season and then heading into next season as well. There may be some changes for next season, so let me know what sort of content you want to see on the channel across the course of the off season, the transfer window, and heading into 2025-26. And I'll catch you in the next video that comes on my channel. What will it be? Probably the John Eustace press reaction, should that come out Monday afternoon. And then obviously Tuesday we'll have the injury latest video. That seems to be going down well on this channel at the moment. So if you have not done so already, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll catch you in my next video.